Hello everyone, welcome back to Stour Vale. Apologies for some of the mess you can see at the side there, and also apologies again that it's been quite a while since the last video. I continue to be busy and it is a struggle sometimes to fit things in, so I'd like the videos to be more regular, but unfortunately other bits and pieces get in the way of things. However, that being said, I am at a point where I have completed the scenic stage of what's going to be the new layout, and I've got a rough sort of outlay as to what the fiddle yard will be. So without further ado, as you can see, I'm standing where the bridge would normally come across. Currently that's just been taken off because I had to flip over and get the wiring done underneath, which is all done on this scenic side. This scenic half is literally all ready to roll. It is just obviously the fiddle yard and reattaching the bridge and working out the final configurations of any track plans for that. So as I say, without further ado, obviously this bit right in front of us here eventually will have a wooden back seam board, so this will not be open and clear. This will probably run off into a tunnel or something to go out and off of the scenic side. But then in this one, in the end, you literally come straight through and you go through to what will be the platforms. Platforms will run pretty much this whole straight length of track that's there, and that in theory is the 4-coach train space. This track could be quite tight on the 4-coach one, but it should still fit, and the idea will be obviously a platform in a station building. Don't take any notice of the engine shed, it's just been plonked there for the meantime whilst I'm sorting bits and pieces out. As you come along to the top end, obviously again this is where a split is in the board so that it can lift out, and what you'll also see is I've actually used the Model Pro, I believe, track aligners, just to try and ensure that it gives that bit more strength and rigidity to the bits where there are joins, because that was one of the other bits I noticed on the previous layout where I didn't use them. There was some issues. As you know, obviously Stour Vale, the idea of it was a small countryside station, so again the limitations of the space that I've got available has hindered somewhat, but I've effectively come up with this little goods operation sort of service where obviously you've got the goods shed at the end there. You'd have this platform realistically sort of there, so you've got a loading bay, so you'd have that. And then at the side there, that is literally would be a spare siding for maybe wagons that have been unloaded from the goods shed and are obviously waiting collection. In an ideal world I would have probably liked another siding, but I've come to the whole dilemma again where realistically the problem I realistically have is the fact that it's the space limitations I've got, and this really is probably the best I'm going to get without it becoming too squashed or unrealistic. So in an ideal world I would have probably liked another siding at least springing off of that, but in terms of trying to keep it minimalistic, simplistic and probably in line with scale and proportion. This was the best compromise that I could come up with. So I've got a little bit of a servicing area, so yes, that's probably the best I am going to achieve. And after this is part of the reason why ultimately I've had such a delay, is because I've laid out different sort of layout ideas, and what I found quite useful was obviously leaving a template of the idea laid out for several days and keep going away and coming back to it days later, and trying different alternatives to make sure that what I've ended up achieving is probably the best that I could. So again, that's another reason for the delay, was to actually visualize some of the proposed or potential layout ideas that I could have done. But as I say, this ultimately is the best that I believe I can fit in the space that I've got, looking at the requirements that I want also. And then, as you obviously can see from the point work here, zoom you back out a bit, obviously you've got the other point work here which connects out to the loop, obviously a single line station, and then second point here which runs into the other platform, and then you just go away. And then again, this is the other split in the board, so just like the other side, there will be a scenic break sort of here running off into a hillside again, or tunnel, just to sort of do the traditional scenic break sort of idea. So that's, like I say, all of that bit is done, complete, and is ultimately ready to be wired up and tested. But that did then leave me with what to do. Like I said, from the unscenic side, where we come this side, as you can see, I've got a rough layout here of what is going to become my fiddle yard. And this was the other problem that I found with the other layout, was that by not having any of this sort of area, I literally would have to keep starting and stopping once I've finished with a particular train, taking it off, putting the next one on. So this isn't finalised, but again, on my way of doing things, I'm going to believe that this is the best sort of way that I'm going to be able to get the most out of this space. And it's going to be looking at a 6-lane fiddle yard. Obviously these three definitely will connect up onto the loop. It's just these three this side here, whether they will actually connect up and be able to run round, so that I could potentially run trains from obviously this way round and through. But like I say, this is roughly what the fiddle yard is probably going to look like, but obviously this isn't determined yet. This is probably the reality of what will happen, but is open to change if something else looks like it might work. So again, thanks for your support, thanks for sticking up, and also, you know, thanks for subscribing. I've noticed there has been some new subscribers recently, so I really appreciate that. Hopefully in the next week or two from filming this, I'm going to get in a position where the layout is done, and then it's back to testing. So yeah, hopefully it won't be long now. Thanks very much for all the support, comments, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Many thanks. Bye.